Model Making Guru is sponsored by emodels.co.uk. Make something awesome. Hey everyone, it's Foxx from modelmaking.guru here. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of my partwork series of DeAgostini's Build Your Own X-Wing, at the end of which we should have a massive 1/18 scale, huge X-Wing fighter all of our own that we're going to repaint. Now in this episode I'm going to look at issue 20, bit of a break from the norm. It's not background movie making nonsense, then fluff, and then how to build things. It's actually starting off with merchandising. Yes, we're starting off with merchandising. Now if you're my age you won't realise this most likely, but what you guys take for granted nowadays, a movie comes out, there'll be all kinds of toys and models and Funko Pops and this, that and the others and stuff. None of that existed when Star Wars came out, or at least very, very little. You might get, for a movie, you might get a lunchbox. That's it. But there were no real, it wasn't the era of big blockbuster summer movies yet. Star Wars started all that, and tying into that, Star Wars started the whole merchandising monstrous machine that appeared. Now you've got to give credit for George Lucas, given the fact that there was nothing like this at the time. He said to 20th Century Fox, he said, don't give me a massive paycheck, instead give me a percentage cut of the merchandising, give me a percentage of whatever it pulls in. And that was a very, very clever move, because it made him very, very rich, because this stuff took off. So yeah, merchandising. This little article first of all talks about Kenner and how they got into making all the toys and stuff like that. Now you have to be honest, I have to be super critical and honest here. Being an old man, I have certain memories of the toys. Now I didn't have an X-Wing or a TIE Fighter, but I did have the Millennium Falcon, and I had loads of action figures and a Land Speeder and stuff like that. I had a Scout Walker, that was great. You have a certain memory in your mind of the toys, and when you were a little kid they were the best thing ever. My mate had an X-Wing and I borrowed it, so I've just got this memory of it being brilliant, and it's the most fantastic thing. It's like this big toy, and then you see this, and this is absolute garbage. It's just white plastic, and it's just got a couple of stickers. It's got a flashing light on the front that makes a laser sound. The cockpit is just a plastic chair shape for the it's just, if you made this nowadays you'd be laughed out of anywhere. You wouldn't sell it for 5p. It's absolute dribble. But we've got these fond memories of how awesome these toys were, and it just goes to show, my god, we were easily pleased when we were kids in those days. But yes, we've got those, so that's that section. Moving on, the next bit is the fluff, and the fluff this week, or in this issue, is talking about Zev Seneska, who was one of the Snowspeeder pilots at the Battle of Hoth. And I've got to tell you, the Battle of Hoth sequence, the whole Hoth sequence at the start of Empire Strikes Back, is probably the best sequence of all the films, of all the 3 films that George Lucas made. Just leave that there for a minute. Of all the 3 films, it is the best sequence, primarily because, for me personally, I mean, it's a great action sequence anyway, with the AT-ATs and the Snowspeeders and the cables and stuff. It's about the lighting and the way it's filmed and the things that the actors do, because if you've got to remember, they're sat in a mock-up of a cockpit in a studio on a gimbal mount, and some offhand grips are like wobbling the set, so it looks like the cockpit's moving like this. And yet when you look at the still shots and you look at the footage, everything looks brilliant. The lighting is such that it looks like they're in a vehicle on a cold snowy day, because the lighting is kind of blue tinted, and there's little touches like when you look at people in the cockpits and they're talking on the radio, they'll be looking up or down or left or right at, you know, imagined cockpit dials and buttons and controls, and just the way they do it, I don't know what it is, it's hard to explain, but the way the actors act in the cockpits and the way it's filmed and lit is just brilliant, and the whole thing is fantastic. So that is my favourite sequence in all the Star Wars movies. So article on Zev Seneska, there you go. And then we get into the buildy where we're making, again, we're on the next wing and we're doing the laser cannon. So I'll go and get all the bits ready and we'll crack on with that. Right, so as you can see, we have a lot of parts for this one. Now, it's not complicated. We've been here before. We've done this before. But let's get cracking. I've got them all in this little tin just to stop them all rolling away and getting lost. So let's crack on. So what we're going to start doing first, we're making the laser cannon, if you hadn't figured that out already. Now we've done this before, so let's get all the bits. We have here these bits here. We've got some optical fibrings. We've got a glowy bulb, my first bulb that we've got to put together. So press the halves of the forward generator body. Thanks for the advice on that one. On to which one that is exactly. I'm going to guess it's this one. Yes, forward generator body. That way around. You've got a little lip here. You need to make sure this lip is protrudicating. See that lip there? Lip. And on this one we have this end. Is it that end? Yes. You want these two little nodules sticking out here to be at this end. So it says, press the halves of the forward generator body together this way round with the LED wire running through the holes at each end. Ensure the pin and socket that join the halves don't trap the wire. There we go. So we've done this before. I'll probably skip through this a bit faster because yeah, we have done this before. And we've got to do 4 of these. So hooray! So I need to make sure it doesn't get trapped in there. There we go. Freely moving. Not freely moving. Oh, hang on. Spudgy times. There we go. Just spudge that apart. Spudge. Right, that's now moving. Make sure it's not trapped. There we go. Yes, to make sure it's not trapped, just make sure you can move it freely when it's all sealed shut. Fit the LED into the small hole in the end of the forward generator end cap. I do like this paint job they've given it, this kind of gold and silver. I said this before, it's beautifully painted. I know it's probably the sponge, the whatever, where the thing goes and puts the colour on with a rubber stamp. But you just don't see it. You're never going to see any of it, which is a real shame. So you take the bulb and you try and hold it at this end here, because there's a little sort of metal bit in there. It's quite tricky. But you want to push that through, and I'll get my tweezers. And gently as I can, I'll try and push it through a bit further. I'll try and get the tweezers at the base of the bulb. I don't want to damage the wiring. So that is pushed in. Given the fact that we bent that one in the other episode, you know, we had to bend the bulb back. Given the fact we did that, it would seem their spade connectors and wires are fairly sturdy, which is a good thing. Shoulder sits on the rim and its tip protrudes from the end cap. I can see a protuberance. Can you see a protuberance? I can see a protuberance. Pull the wire back to the generator body and push the end cap into it. We have a slot and we have a key. So that just goes in there. There we go. Lovely. That is now assembled. There's a little nub mark there, you can see. When it focuses, the nub mark there doesn't matter. We're not going to see this. Like I've said before, there are lots of bits in these that if you wanted to do like an open section, say of an engine or one of the laser cannons, you could do that, and you could customize it and add wires and stuff and make it look realistic. So you could have like an open panel. I'm not going to do any of that. Right, let's feed the central union over the other end of the wire. The union over the other end of the wire. Now there is a projecting lug. It's at this end. You have to make sure this end is going forward. And that goes into here, you see, into that little recess there. There we go. Feed the wire into the groove indicated. I know we've been over this before, but I've forgotten it all. And take the rear end cap, which also has a slot to match an internal lug. Lug, slot. There we go. There we go. So this one, take the 2 halves of the rear generator body and fit the internal pins to matching sockets. That's fairly straightforward. Spladink, kaplink. Slot, align the slots. There we go. Key, lock. I don't think it's called a lock and key, but I decided it's a good name to call it lock and key. It's very tight. It's very tight. There we go. So you've got both pins on the top here. Take the completed generator, both halves of the housing, the 2 end caps, which is that one, and the fibre optic. It's like a worm. It's like a transparent worm. Now, here's the thing. Now, remember we did this the first time. I've gone ahead in advance and painted the interiors of these two parts for light blocking. Now, you can use whatever you want. I used a bit of the Ultimate Primer, the black primer. It says to use matte black paint, and that's fine. You just want something with a dense pigment. I've got a couple of coats on it in there. And if you didn't see that earlier episode, the whole point of this is you're going to have an LED in here that glows. This is ABS plastic. It's a bit, and it's got no paint on it. It's basically plastic with a hint of black paint sprayed over the top. It's not much at all. So, yeah, it's got no light blocking properties. So this will hopefully reduce any light coming through the plastic. If you just put this together, you'd see a glow around here and stuff as the bulb glows through. So this is light blocking. And now it doesn't really matter too much if it's not perfect at this point, because when we put it all together, I'll test it. You'll probably see still a little bit of light leak. That's fine, because don't forget I'm repainting this. So when we've done this, at the very end of the project, this will get primed over and painted. So you'll have all this in here, black primer. You'll have black primer on the outside probably, or white primer of some sort, and then more paint on top. So it will be covered up, but this will get rid of a lot of it. So where are we? So this needs to go in here like this, you see, onto this one. Align the laser generator, yada yada yada. Fitting the 2 pins into the sockets in the housing. 2 pins, pin, pin. There we go. Yes, hopefully this new camera setup means I can not have to worry about holding things in the same place all the time. I can move my hands around freely now and get a bit more excitable about things. Pins there, that way around, of course. And this wire cable has to come through this little gap here. So let's make sure that's pushed in. There she is. There she is. Except, hang on. Hang on. Critical situation. Let's get this out again. I'll show you why. If I can get this out again. Come on, out you come. Out you come. Something to watch for. A moment, please. Right, just in case you're wondering what that was about, the bulb had disappeared back in here. So before you put it all together, do make sure that your bulb is properly sticking out and is really jammed in place. I've obviously pulled this cable a bit and pushed it back in again, so let's just get this bulb back in. So keep an eye on that before you seal everything up. Just keep an eye on it. I will carefully grab that, push that down. Where's those tweezers gone? There. There we go. Now if you wanted to, if you want to really lock this in place, what you could do is get yourself some, if you're a model maker already, you get yourself some canopy glue or PVA glue, you know, standard craft glue, and you could just jam a load of it in there, because PVA glue and canopy glue, they dry completely clear, so they won't affect the operation of the bulb at all, and that won't get hot, so it won't do anything to the glue. So if you wanted to really lock it in place, you can, if you want, just get some PVA in there and lock it in, but just try avoid pulling this one. I obviously pulled on it at some point and it splodged it out again, so I've got to reassemble it now. So that's not going to come out now, but it's obviously at this point before I put that on the end that it splodged its way out. It was a swine to get back out again as well, to get something under there to try and, you see I've scraped some of the primer off, so you'll get a bit of light leak there now, but that's fine because you'll get primer on the outside anyway, so it was fun. So get this in, the bulb sits there. I didn't notice it till I put it in. I'm like, wait a minute, there's a whole bulb missing there. That goes in there like that. Sits in. Now it says to fit the LED, the fibre optic cable in there. You can do, or you can do that in a minute. Doesn't really matter. We're going to take it all off again anyway. This goes over the top. Oops, make sure the wire's in the little hole. There we go. Not a super tight fit, but that's not a problem. Now, the end cap goes here. This is what helps it stay together. Watch out for these, they're very delicate. It's not quite as tight a fit as the first laser cannon we built. And then what you do now is this will go on the top. Now, remember, this is something I had to do the first time. If you've got one, take yourself your craft knife or your hobby knife, and what you want to do is, there's two little holes here at the top. You can see just there, there's two little holes. These are for those. Goodbye. These are for these two. Now these are very delicate. The holes as they are, because you will need to keep, I'll need to keep taking this off in the future for painting and stuff, so I want to make the holes a tiny bit wider just to avoid any undue stress on those small components. So I'm just going to quickly widen them out with the knife and my blade. There we go. And it just means now that this has a specific orientation. You see the key and the slot there, lock and key as I said. I'm going to do it very slowly, push it together, very slowly, push that on, and then those, it kind of slips and you have to be really careful. If you had the holes as they were by default, they might go in or they might just push against it and that might buckle and snap. So doing it that way, widening the hole a little bit, means if that does go flink on like that, you're not going to risk snapping anything. Now you see why I didn't worry about the fibre optic cable, because that can just go in there like that. It's fine. We're going to take it off again anyway. When I store these, I store them with this bit removed. So when it comes to put this back on, I'll simply feed that through there, put it through there, because it has to go in here and you have to get it in. Oops, like that. And then I'll reassemble that. But like I say, when I store this, for the time being, it's stored with this piece removed. That's why I remember when I first did this laser cannon on the first Canon, I glued this bit on, and that was my big, I had to go out and buy another issue. I had to go out and buy the issue again to replace it because I glued this on and I didn't want to do that. So yeah, there we go, that's that bit done. Take the completed laser generator housing with the barrel assembly from stage 19, all the remaining parts. There we go, nice and easy now. Dead simple. Take your tube, metal tube of happiness and sturdy construction, unlike the first one, which was garbage. That now slides on here. It's really tight fit, so once this is on, it's basically not going to come off again. You'll see how it churns up some of the paint. So once that's on, it's on forever. Like I say, when I store this, I will just pull this bit off with all the rest of the laser assembly and take the fibre optic cable with it, and then to put it back again, I'll just put the cable in first and slide it back. So there you go, that's that bit. And next we just have these parts here. Now I have to say, I don't appear to have been given the little clear bit that goes on the end, but we'll get to that in a second. So we have to take this, apply this to here like this, you see. So it goes like that. That slots in there. That goes over the top. Spadooge, that goes on there. This slips on the end of that, so you feed the fibre optic cable through here. Again, it will stick a little bit, but just push it through. There you go, that goes in there. It's not exactly tight, but it doesn't matter. This has got a key and a little recess there, so that goes on there. Again, I'm not going to glue it, it's very tight fit. Again, it's tighter fit than the other one. Wow, I don't know what I did with the other laser cannon. That sits on there, locked in place with a little key, and that does spin freely, so once it's assembled onto the X-Wing, you can rotate it round as you see fit. And there we have the next laser cannon. Now, like I say, I don't think I've been given the clear piece. Now, it may just be that I've lost it. It's entirely possible. Or it may just be that it is completely missing, but I'm not particularly fussed. There's things I can do to fill that later on. It's not a problem. I'll sort that out later if I need to. It's not like anybody's going to see it anyway, really. But that's that done. So what I need to do now is do a quick lighting test. You can see the glow here on this part of the cannon. It's quite a pronounced glow, it's basically pink. And there is some light leaking through here, which again, you guys probably can't see because that light's on, but if I turn it that way, maybe you can, I doubt it. So there is some light coming through here and through this end piece here. Let me turn the lights back on. Click, 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 and click. There we go. Yeah, so there is some light leak there. Exactly the same as with the other laser cannon. So you've got some light coming through here because it's quite thin, and light coming through here. And like I say, it's because this plastic is just basically bare plastic with the barest of black spray over it. It's not painted this colour. It's kind of See that little white strip there? It's that colour with a hint of very, very lightly sprayed black paint. That's it. So it's going to let the light through. So not a problem. Like I say, we've got the primer in there, which stops the light coming through here, and we'll cover it in primer and paint it properly anyway at the end. So not a problem. That light will be banished. So there you go. That is issue 20, one big fat laser cannon. Anyway, that's going to do us, so thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, of course, to check out all the links in the description below the video for all the awesome ways you can help support me and this channel, keep this channel going and keep the lights on. Of course, including becoming a patron at patreon.com/modelmakingguru. But until next time, I shall just say thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves, go make something awesome like this, go be awesome, and until next time, adios amoebas.